Yo, yo, yo.
What's up? What's going on, everybody? It is DeMarcus, your Empower King, reminding you to be empowered, stay empowered, and give empowerment. And to my left,
This is Mr. Jisma. You know what it is.
man, back again with another episode of From the Hip, man. Thank y'all so much for tuning in, man. Hey, look, if y'all already know, man, we come in with that fire. We're shooting all these topics from the hip that come from the heart. And honestly, man, we want to hear your guys' viewpoint, man. So whenever you guys get a chance, like, comment, and subscribe, man. We want to give y'all that realness, and we want to come straight to y'all.
Share that content. Don't be stingy.
Hey, man.
Hey, man, my man. I ain't seen you in a minute.
I know, for real, right?
Hey, I like what you brought the superhero out
Hey,
today,
man,
man.
look, I mean, because we got a lot to talk about, bro.
That's
So
right.
I had to put something strong on my chest.
So we going, yeah, I see you. I see you.
Hey, man, nah, it's always a good time when we link up, y'all. So on
Yes,
today's episode, man, we want to talk about lessons from the previous generation. Most specifically, the things that we learned from the people before us. We talk about parents, mentors, uncles, janitors, whoever the case may be. What do we learn from them, man?
Man, parents, we can start off, that's where we, as youth, learn our life lessons from.
Man.
You know what I'm saying? Those are they're the ones who set the tone and an example of what we ultimately become.
Yeah, what we should and should not do.
Yes, indeed.
Bruh, man. Because I feel like I can go off to like a whole different spiral.
Yeah, it's y'all lace y'all boots up.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. I gotta
lace
hit
them up,
the chest
man.
one time.
Yeah, we're gonna get real. I know we be having fun and stuff, but these are topics and stuff. This is what we need to touch on because this is very important stuff, you know what I mean? So
I think for me personally, I think I learned how not to be a man to help me be a man.
ooh, elaborate.
Right. So y'all level with me, all right? So we all got family, we all got people in our lives that teach us something. For me, my father has been in my life, so I want to make sure that I say that, is that he's always been around. But there are things in which he wasn't around for that I feel like were critical pieces for me to be able to grow as a man. I've always got life lesson here, year or two go by, life lesson here, something like that. Or he don't tell me a life lesson, but I have to learn from watching his life. You feel what I'm saying? So in the midst of it all, it's like I seen all the things that he did that weren't necessarily beneficial to me and my family. Mm-hmm. And that taught me okay, so if I don't want to do that, then let me go ahead and do this and try to be different. Now, the struggle that I personally have had, and I'm just going to open up and be honest with y'all, is that being on one extreme to another is also bad. So for instance, if a person's not in your life, right, naturally you want to be in everyone else's life, which will then in turn make you either needy, obsessive. It can almost make you manipulate people to want to be in your life.
Oh, I never thought of that.
Right. You feel me? So that's what happened to me, is that I went on to okay, this person's not in my life the way I want them to be. So let me be in everybody else's life because I gotta be. You know what I'm saying? And if I'm not, then I become passive aggressive, again, manipulative, and in certain cases, narcissistic. Wifey y'all hit me with that the other day, saying that, I show narcissistic traits. I'm like, me? Mind you, I'm talking about, this is only like 2 weeks ago when she hit me with this. And I was like, me narcissistic? Nah, I'm just confident in what I do. She's like, there's a difference. Confidence, you ain't got to say nothing. Narcissistic, you telling everybody this, that, and the third. Ain't got nothing to back it up with.
Ooh.
You feel me? Hey, I'm saying, wifey y'all hit me, and mind you, when you've been trying to be someone else your whole life, you try to be the opposite of somebody else your whole life, you don't think of it that way. But see, now it's almost like when you have those people around you to bring you back into balance mode, you understand that, okay, I don't need to be this person that's not into somebody's life, but I also don't need to be obsessed of being in somebody's life. It can make me a better person if I'm balanced and understand that, it's just me.
And not to cut you off, did that lesson come from not having that presence?
Bro, honestly, it came from
or is it the effects of not having that presence? The feeling of knowing what that feel like?
Bro, that's a good question. In all honesty, I think it comes from just a multitude of things. So him not being there, me trying to figure it out for myself, me watching other male role models and see how they do it. You feel what I'm saying? So I guess in the midst of this journey, it's like how this lesson kind of came about is me taking that self journey and being like kind of self-aware, like asking myself, I'm like, all right, who is Marcus?
Mm-hmm.
Who does he want to be? You know what I'm saying? So it didn't come from just my father not being there. It came from like, I seen this dude do this. I seen this person do this. Or I've watched a person live the life that I think I kind of want to live like. And be like, ooh, let me get a little bit from there. I think even Bruce Lee said it best. Like, you know, if it applies to you, take it. And if it doesn't, discard it type of thing. I'm totally paraphrasing. Y'all look up the quote yourself and find out. But yeah, that's the overall principle.
Okay. And so would the battle be the struggle of you finding yourself?
The struggle
like trying to figure out who you are based off the little pieces that you got from the examples that, or did you see similarities?
Yeah, no.
That made you question yourself?
Oh, most definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, right. When you on one extreme to the other, like it's almost like that duality of life. You yin and yang, bad and good type of thing. Just because you extreme on one end and you go completely opposite on the other end doesn't make you that much better. So when you ask me like, you know, what was the struggle? The struggle is trying to find balance. You know what I'm saying? You can have too much of a good thing.
Trust me, I know.
Yeah, that's it. You can have too much.
For another day.
I'm saying you can have too much of a good thing and be like, dang, well, that didn't suffice neither. That didn't help satisfy nothing either. Right. And that's what I found myself doing, is that like I'm in all these relationships. And when I mean I'm present, dog, I'm like, I'm skipping work to go see these people. I'm willing to take other people's cars to go see these people. Like I'm literally going out my way, spending my last dime just because I don't want to be out of their life.
And that's unhealthy.
Very unhealthy, right? Just because what I saw was like, oh, this person was in their life, so now I need to be in their life consistently, always, forever. I need to, if I'm not right in your face, then I ain't doing my job.
Right.
And that makes me so like, what I thought a man was like, okay, so he's not a man because he wasn't there. So then that must mean a man is always there. So I went the complete opposite. When in actuality, it's not necessarily about being there, it's just about being present in the moment. You feel me?
Right.
So yeah, so finding that balance was crucial for me.
All right, let's go deeper then. During that journey, did that make you wonder why he was the way he was?
Oh, most definitely.
And did you find that out?
Yes and no. And what I mean by that is that like he didn't tell me. Me going through my personal experiences and being able to connect the dots allowed me to, right? Because some people, they don't understand why they're where they are, right? And for my father, I don't think he really has gone through that type of self-awareness journey to be like, yeah, I'm this way because this happened to me, or this because this happened to me. It's more so like, yo, this happened to me. Like, oh, okay, I can see how that kind of brought this about. Oh, okay, you said that? Got you. So now it's almost like, I see the cycle. How do I break it?
So what good did you learn? Like what good examples, or what examples did you see that you could say, okay, that's a good lesson that I took from him?
From him? Oh man.
That you see within yourself that like made you like.
I would honestly say like something that I really took from him that like allowed me to be, you know, me was like, I would honestly say work ethic. That's one thing I would regardless of what my father does right now, there is not a person on this planet that can't say that man don't work his butt off. Period. I don't care if this man is furnishing rugs off of the ground that he saw on the freeway. This man puts his heart into everything that he does. Whether it's right or wrong is besides the question or the point. But
when it's time to handle business,
there ain't no question. That man puts that pen to paper, he puts the hand to the grind, and he goes with it. So that's one thing I said.
Did you, growing up, and I'm going somewhere with this,
yeah.
Like growing up, were they, did he grow up like struggling financially, like as a child?
I didn't know.
Oh, so you don't even know that?
Yeah, so that's the funny thing is that I didn't know until I got like, I would almost say like almost 2 or 3 years ago. I didn't know that my family was struggling. That's how well that's how hard my family was working to be able to like provide and whatnot.
Wait, you didn't know then, or did you find out later that was the situation?
So that was the situation. I didn't find out until like 2 or 3 years ago, like from now.
Okay.
So when I was a kid growing up, all the way from like elementary school all the way up to high school, I didn't know that there were moments where we were actually struggling. I had no idea.
I'm talking about in his childhood. Did he?
Oh yeah, most definitely. Yeah,
okay.
yeah. No.
And I asked that because like as I get older and try to understand myself and all that stuff, like I try to I went to try to understand my parents and my aunts and the generation before us and why they are the way that they are and their motivation, because a lot of times in the household, whenever it comes up, like if you do something wrong or you're expressing yourself and how you want, the first thing that comes out of their mouth is, I provided for you.
Yeah.
And so I can even say to this day, my parents don't really get that. That their motivation is always providing financially.
Yeah.
Not realizing that they neglected the emotional part.
The emotional part.
And so, but then I had to think, like, why is that such a, like for me, as a parent, my thing is love. Like, the financial part, that's coming. But just giving my kids, like, unconditional love support, and communication is heavy, and all those things is what connecting with them. Which is the thing that the generation before us neglected, because their motivation a lot of times was providing financial, and to them that was everything.
Love.
And that was love.
That's how you
but that's the reason I asked you that, because growing up, that's what affected them the most. And so, my mom always said, like, no matter what, her thing was always to make sure that the refrigerator was full. But again, the other stuff was empty.
Exactly.
And now as a parent, I'm not worried about that. My thing is providing that emotional, because that is what was voided in my childhood.
Exactly.
And so, me trying to understand, I know a lot of times we don't do that because we always look at, like, I'm hurt and when I'm going through and all that. And a lot of times, and I'm just inquisitive, like, I just want to know why. Like, where is that coming from? Because a lot of times if I understand it, I might not take it so personally. I'm still affected by the actions, but it'll make me understand the angle a lot more. Like, why do you keep, when I tell you, you didn't really support the things that I got going on and really showed up and all that stuff, the first thing come out of your mouth is you provided financial.
Right.
Why is it what I'm telling you, what you did provide, not that important, but this is what you keep emphasizing on, which I don't care about.
Right.
But it's because that was the scar
that they got.
Yes. Like, they grew up poor, and they grew up, and that is what affected their household the most. And so that was like their motivation. And when I have kids, I'm gonna make sure my kids never go hungry.
Right.
But they not. But then they don't realize it's a lot more than that.
And see, and that's what I'm saying. Like, as far as, like, again, too much good can be a bad thing. Love falls under that same parameter. Right. Where it's like, you can show a child way too much love and affection, quote unquote, and then they get out there in the world and get banged up, and then all of a sudden realize, like, yo, people really don't love out there. And now they almost like, I don't know what to believe, right? So it's almost like, again, you got to have that balance between all things. The only way to get better in this world, and I say it like this to make it simpler. If you still getting mad about what your parents did or whatever happened in your relationship, if you still getting real pissed off, that shows that the side that you really looking at, or the perspective that you have, is an unhealed spot.
Definitely.
Right. So it's like, if you're looking from an unhealed lens, or glasses, you're always going to see the unhealed part, and that's what's going to end up pissing you off.
But see, the only way that you can heal it is it has to be addressed, which is what that generation doesn't do.
Right.
And I because I can say, like just for black households in our community, is we don't talk about the stuff. We don't talk about the mental health. Johnny's just different. We're not addressing what's really, like, what was really wrong with him is just, or like I said, till this day, if we speak on those unhealed things, it's get over it. We not gonna discuss it. And it's like how you can't expect to move past it. But then I again learned back then it was child stays in the child's place. And you don't speak on these things and all that stuff. And so all that's doing is just stacking the debt instead of addressing the situation as a whole in order to move past and in order to really heal from that space. You got to talk about it in order. And in that generation, it was none of that.
See, I sort of agree with that. Like, I say this: if the older generation is willing to talk about it, it expedites the process. The learning curve gets cut in half. Right, for them and for the person that was obviously hurt. But I personally believe you don't need the previous generation's openness to be able to be open yourself and be able to understand it. What it takes though is, again, it's a lot harder. It's almost like having what do they have? A cheat sheet, or what do they have? Those Spark Notes, right? If your family's willing to open up and talk about it, you got Spark Notes. You good. But if you don't, now you got to read the whole entire book, which means for you got to go through within yourself to be able to understand, sit there and be empathetic. The only way to be empathetic is if you are actually in tune with your own self and be like, all right, look, if I was, same thing, like if you were to say like, hey, if I was broke and the only way that I can give to my family is whatever material I got, whatever food, place to sleep, the whole nine, you got to see it from their perspective, like, dang, there's really no other way, because you already got your boss at you, you got bills, you got all this stuff, so how could I really express love? That's all I know. And so if that's been embedded in you, that's all it is. You know what I'm saying? You can't blame the computer for the program that you gave it. You know what I'm saying? The world gave them that program, and so that's all that it's going to give you. Right? It's really hard to put in a whole new software if you already got the whole computer stacked with whatever software you already had previously. It's really hard to take all that out and put in something new.
But you can do it.
Oh no, it's possible.
Yeah.
It's just hard.
Well, of course, but you have to at least put in the effort to do it. And a lot of times it's easier to just say get over it, sweep it under the rug, and address it. You know what I'm saying? So if it's a situation like you said, it's embedded in them, but it's once you become educated on the situation at hand. Like I said, you personally, once you realize that, it's your duty to go on that journey within yourself. But it's when you present it with the situation. Like, I'm just the type of person, if we have a problem, we gotta address it so we can move on. If it's serious, if it's something petty, whatever. But if it's a serious situation, it's like you can't do that with everything. You can't just sweep it up under the rug. Right. We gotta, because like, you know, your actions, regardless of how you feel about it, it affects people. And if this person is strongly expressing like, yo, when you do this, this, and that, this is how you make me feel, you can't just because now all that does is create a new problem. You know what I'm saying? Or stack the deck. It's like, okay, let's talk about it then. Okay. And then you gotta listen in order for you to move on. And a lot of times, especially the previous generation, that is how they dealt with things. Because I was thinking, like back then too, you gotta remember it's open domestic violence in the house, it's open all that stuff. And I always say our generation broke that mold. Like, you know what I'm saying? And that I realized back then, or even now, if you bring up a situation, you ask a question, because you are younger, they take it, just you ask them why. Why is that? And we broke the mold, like, yo, I hear you. No disrespect, but they take, you just question it as disrespect.
Exactly.
And I remember somebody, like one of my friends posted it like a while back. She said verbatim, pretty much the previous generation have a problem when you don't let them talk to you the way that you want, that they want to. So you defend yourself. Oh, it's an issue.
It's an issue.
You know what I'm saying? I'm an adult. I'm not coming at you.
Why do you think that is?
Because back then it was parent, child, and regardless, you could be 67 years old, your parent 90. Back then it was just, you know, parents speak, child listen.
This is a sidebar, because I feel like, again, like, this is what I'm saying, that this topic can go in multiple different facets. Shouldn't that be the way that it actually is? Or do you, as far as like, okay, parent, child. I think in this generation, I think what's happening, again, this is what I'm talking about extremes, is that because back then, how we were raised, right? Parent, child. You don't say nothing to the parent, out your mouth. The parent can say whatever they want to the child. Now, in today's society, it seems like, oh, the child is like, we're like best friends. We can talk about anything. But yet, it almost even comes to certain points where it's disrespectful, where they feel like they can just say anything that they want. Kirk Franklin, we talked about that in the previous episode, so y'all make sure y'all check that out. Brother's 32 years old. And that's what I'm saying, like, when you start, like, I'm not saying that's how Kirk Franklin raised his kids, but I'm saying, but that's how you get a generation like that, where you feel like you can say anything to your own parent.
But it's the difference between being disrespectful and expressive.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Because, like, my kids, right? I got 2 and 8, and I teach, like, say what you mean what you say.
Right.
So We don't do that. You know, if you want them to do something, oh, if you do this, I'm gonna give you. When they say no, they mean no.
Right.
And, it don't matter, because I think a lot of times when you just teach a kid to not say anything, you give them. It's really like a false pretense. Like, just because I'm the adult, I'm right.
Yeah.
And I think even on a serious note, when you had them situations where kids get taken advantage of by adults, because in their mind, it's because they're an adult, because that was put in their head, instead of just teaching them right from wrong.
Exactly.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like my son, I'm if I tell him something and I see like he just adamant about saying what he want to say, it's my job to shut up and just listen. Just listen. Like whatever it is he got to say, obviously it's important to him. And then when he right, I'll be like, you know what, you're right.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
That just teaches him, instead of it being like, well, I'm a parent, and just because I'm a parent, what I say is right. And it's not that, because our intentions should be to teach them right from wrong. And not teach them just because I'm in this position, my word over trumps you. Because just because you're an adult, you're a parent, don't mean you're always right.
Ooh.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so it ain't about control. It's about getting the point across to make the best decision. It's like, well, again, what is your reason doing what you doing? My daughter too. And I'd be like, oh,
yeah.
But at the same time, I question myself, like, what am I doing? It's not about a power struggle. We're teaching these kids lessons in order for them to go on and pass on them lessons, or just to learn right from wrong. Use their intuition, making the best decisions, instead of it just because this is who I am. You know, I've been in situations a teacher get in my face. Yeah. And then I was told, well, because that's the teacher, instead of, why is teaching in your face? Like, you can't just say what you said. Yeah. So you had to disrespect me, and just because I'm a child, I'm supposed to accept that disrespect. So what is it that I'm teaching them when they step into the real world?
Wow, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's what it goes. That's the difference between being disrespectful and just speaking your piece or expressing yourself. And a lot of times when we express ourselves, just because we're not going with the masses, in a sense, it's looked at as disrespect.
Got you.
You know what I'm saying? And that's different from your child. That situation give me heat.
Hey, brother.
But that's the attitude of an entitled person.
Yeah.
Right there is a lesson of misdirection and not God. Yeah. Like that was the action of a spoiled child, which is what this generation is. Right. And because we don't, we so scared about everything going on, instead of stepping in there and correcting the situation, we say, well, nah, man, like that ain't, because again, we set them up for failure. You sit there and let the kids say anything to you, and then when they get in the real world, or somebody
come at them foul,
it's like you every lesson that you did embedded in their head, you let them know that was all right.
Yeah, instead of hold it in, don't say nothing.
Yeah, like.
And that's how you get people that start whacking out, going crazy. That makes sense.
You know what I'm saying? So like you, because I was raised in the my mom remarried. My dad, I don't call him my stepdad because he raised me as his own. And then my father is in my life. So I learned two different lessons. On this side, my mom and them, the only lesson I really learned from them, work ethic. Facts. That's my mom and my dad, like they hard workers. But again, I understood they struggle. They came up in the household. Yeah. So that's their motivation. Facts. They kind of neglected with everything else. My dad, street dude. You know what I'm saying? He didn't grow up with a lot of love in his house, but it was love there. But my dad, it was always, the man you see before you, like principle, how you treat people. You know what I'm saying? Like this is a dude, street. Dude. And I've seen this man embrace a homeless person. Nothing but love, the same way he do somebody. That, you know what I'm saying? And that's the lesson I learned from him.
I definitely want to start getting into your lessons, man. And we're going to save that for the next one. So this is going to be a part 2 to this, lessons from the previous generation. So y'all already got me on this episode. We're going to get into the next one. Y'all better tune in for the next episode on part 2, man. Yo, y'all already know what it is, man. This is From the Hip. I'm DeMarcus, your Empowered King. Find me on IG at IM_the_empowered_king. To my left.
This is Mr. Just Your Thoughts. Just my thoughts. Just our thoughts. Dog, holla.
Yo.